Hey everybody, it's your favorite political skeptic. Although I still have faith, right? I'm still looking for the second coming. I'm still anxiously anticipating the second coming of Christ. And I know that sounds a little bonkers in some people's ears, a little antiquated, but no, I'm not looking for government to take the role of God on earth. I'm not looking for a savior in the form of a politician. And just to string those two words together in my mind is just kind of stomach churning, because we know how wonderful an example of morality all of these scumbags who rise to positions of power and influence, we know what shining examples these people really are, right? Anybody who's not completely got blinders on, anybody who's not completely blindfolded, believing in the controlled opposition, two-party illusion. So hopefully a lot of my audience out there is part of that club, right? Otherwise you might, I don't know, I might lose another subscriber after this video, but that's nothing new for me, guys. I have, trust me, plenty of times lost many a subscriber or follower each and every time I open my mouth in criticism of this or that golden-haired calf, let's say. But yeah, so the latest news is, and I'm not going to get too far into this today, guys, because I'm really, to tell you the truth, like lately, I've been kind of like tuned out, I guess. I guess the kind of, I know the favorite buzzword lately, even from the right, I think I even heard, was it Kennedy that used the phrase reset, right? We need a reset, the great reset. Keep hearing that word like there's this little button that we can all push and everything's gonna change, right? Like, it's kind of like when you wish upon a star, right? Doesn't matter who you are. You too can one day become president of the United States. I remember them telling me that in public school. Yeah, pretty funny actually when you think about it nowadays as an adult, but it's who you know that gets you ahead in this world for the most part. And unfortunately, with the fallen one, in the Bible he's called Satan, as the temporary ruler of this world. Yeah, unfortunately, the more evil you are, the more you get ahead in this world, and the more greedy, self-centered, the more you want me, the more the devil says, okay, I'll give you that as long as you bow down to me. But yeah, so I wasn't gonna get too far into the politics, but I couldn't ignore this huge, I swear on the right. And I criticize the right most because they at least profess many of the same ideals and principles that I'm interested in, right? I just read again that Barry Goldwater, or was it that ancient Greek or Roman who originally coined the phrase extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice. And I guess that more than anything kind of sums up kind of what makes me tick, right? That and that Thomas Jefferson quote, I have sworn on the altar of God eternal hostility towards every form of tyranny over the mind of man. And I don't care if that tyranny comes packaged with a red tie on or a blue tie on, you know, claiming to be conservative, claiming to be even Christian. I don't care how that's packaged. If I see you as a tyrant promoting more tyranny and you know, promoting something that'll lead to less and less liberty, I'm gonna call you out, right? And if I see somebody claiming to be America first, well, selling America out to these globalist organizations like the WHO / UN, by declaring a national state of emergency, fast-tracking certain medical procedures in the name of protecting us all from a pandemic that never was. Something that, according to the science at the time of Operation Warp Speed, had something like a 99.8% survival rate, right? Basically a statistical error. Yeah, I'm gonna call you out, guys, okay? I don't care how good you sound, how funny and charming you are, how you stick it to the enemies, right? The perceived enemies on the left. I'm still gonna call you out. And so the latest development politically was the biggest news anyway, other than young global leader, WEF member Tulsi Gabbard. I know many of you probably have forgotten or never heard, but she used to be a young global leader of the World Economic Forum until she decided to break with her own party and pretend to be a conservative and cozy up to the right. And of course, you know, the WEF being poison as it is, she tried to distance herself, and in one interview I recall her bold-faced lie in front of the camera saying that she never knew that they had selected her as a young global leader. That was nobody even never told her that.
Something about the World Economic Forum. Did you interview somebody recently or say something about that recently?
Yeah, no, it's something that I've been seeing pop up a little bit on social media. People who, so basically what happened was early, I don't know, maybe in the first or second year that I served in Congress, I found out that my picture and name had been placed on the World Economic Forum's website under this category they have listed as young global leaders. And I looked at it and I was like, okay, well, they have different people of different political parties and from around the world that are on this website. I was never asked to join, and I was never informed by them that they had put my name and picture on their website. And I honestly didn't know that much about it. But people have said, oh, well, what did you learn by graduating from Klaus Schwab's Young Global Leaders Academy or all this stuff? And it's just, it's unfortunate that there's a lot of, I don't know, false assumptions being made, I guess. It's an organization, I've never gone to any of their shenanigans. That's a good word. I've never gone to any of their events. I didn't graduate from any. I've literally not had anything to do with the World Economic Forum. And the reason why people are concerned about this is actually very important. And I'm glad to just make clear that there is no connection between me and the World Economic Forum.
Well, you know, there's this pesky way of all these different social media platforms like X, back then Twitter, this pesky way of them biting you in the butt. Because just about a year before that interview where she claimed to not know anything about ever becoming a young global leader, being selected part of this WEF program, she put out a little tweet expressing how honored she was to be selected by the elite globalist organization of the WEF as one of their young global leaders. And of course, so was Vivek Ramaswamy, right? It's just, what are the odds in this small world that all of these influencers, that all of these superheroes, right? The Avengers now. I even saw RFK Jr. Tweet that out, that Wonder Woman in the form of Tulsi Gabbard has now been joined up with the Avengers. And yeah, I guess if you have the mentality of a 10-year-old, that might sound realistic. I don't know, guys. It's this Hollywood infantile mentality, right? Trump just narrowly escaped death as a bullet grazed the very tippy top of his earlobe, as if he was John Wick, right? and the deep state and all their attempts to deal with Trump, well, all their foiled attempts to bring him to trial, throw him behind bars, and now even a political inside job assassination attempt. Trump is just invincible, isn't he? The Teflon Don, after all, right, guys? The bulletproof Don now, I guess. Guess you'll have to be upgraded from a Teflon pan to a iron skillet. I don't know. Not that that even stops most bullets, but in John Wick land they do, right? In magical world of Hollywood. And I think people have just been so acclimated to fantasy, right? With all the streaming services, the Netflix, you know, all these little sitcoms, you know, Game of Thrones, all these fantasy worlds, I think, have literally warped people's minds into being, I guess, less critical, less skeptical. I know critical sounds like a bad word, right? Like, yeah, I'm pretty negative Nelly, I guess, in that respect, but I am at heart a political skeptic, because my whole entire adult life that I've been paying attention to politics, I've seen America just get continually, try to put this politely, gang raped. We've been screwed over and over and over again. And it seems like either people are willfully deceived, like, you know, they just want to hold out on that Hollywood hope of a, you know, this time it's going to be different. This time we're going to get our guy in there, and he's going to do what's right for us, right? He's going to hold our interests, us little nothing individual serfs out here. Yeah, this multi-millionaire, billionaire, with all of his little billionaire buddies in George Carlin's big club. Finally, this guy's gonna care about us little guys, right, guys? He's gonna do what's right for America. I mean, doesn't America feel great again after the last 4 years of Trump, guys? I know I'm a negative Nelly, I guess. I just hate being lied to. I hate false hope. I hate good people being misled. Good people having that good nature used against them by evil bastards, I guess, right? There's wolves and there's sheep. And I guess kind of as I guess I consider myself a watchman on some level. And it's just sad, right? It's pathetic. It's just a shining example of how far this country has fallen. You know, as a once godly nation, right? That doesn't mean that we legislate morality like many are calling for nowadays. But yeah, we were a majority Protestant Christian nation. And, you know, true biblical Protestant Christians don't put up with crap, right? We don't just sit back on our hands and watch blatant immorality run rampant in government. You know, people had a hell of a lot less tolerance for petty tyrants back in the day. And so whatever you want to think about the founding fathers, you know, whether they're deists or Masons or Satanists or whatever, they still had to appease the mob, I guess you could say. And the mob at the time were Bible-reading Protestant Christians. And for all these little peons like this little pip-squeak, Nick Fuentes, and his version of America, you know, his ideal and his BS dialectic. I saw one of his, just the only reason I ever see this guy is because he pops up on X. Like, I literally, after like 30 seconds of listening to his sniveling little, I mean, he sounds like a little, again, a little 10-year-old, a little 12-year-old. And again, that's just another indicator of how far we have fallen as a society, as a once godly nation, when somebody like Nick Fuentes can become a popular influencer online. And not just completely an object of ridicule and mockery. No, this guy's cool, right, guys? The guy that talks like he's 9 years old. But anyway, just a little glimpse into, in my mind, prophetically, the way things are headed. You know, we even saw, or at least I even saw today on X, Tim Pool, right? Another influencer on the right, you know, the supposedly alternative rights, even though they do nothing but promote the left-right paradigm, two-party illusion. Tim Pool just comes out and says, God is real. Now, Tim Pool in the past, and I've kept tabs on this guy on and off, you know, for about a decade. No, more than that. I think I've heard of Tim Pool for almost 2 decades now. He just wasn't so popular. Wasn't such a big timer. Didn't have like Trump on his show and all that. Back when he was more of an actually alternative podcaster. Even though this guy got his start, yeah, so Tim Pool made it at the Occupy Wall Street protests as a, I guess, a citizen journalist. And just so conveniently, the legacy news media really kind of propped up this kid and made him kind of a public name. So, you know, as much as he calls out the fake news and all that, he kind of owes them a great deal of gratitude, right? For making Tim Pool into what he is today. But yeah, so when even see Tim Pool kind of catering to the religious right, and you have more and more and more, you know, from Alex Jones to I'm trying to think of some other names. Pretty much everybody you can think of on the right, every kind of influencer, kind of info guru, and of course President Trump himself. In a recent interview I listened to, he was talking about this kind of divine intervention thing, you know, around this near miss, right? This bullet that just flew right past and his head turned at this key moment in time. And if it was just for, you know, another fraction of a second, Trump wouldn't be here today. And this kind of fits in with his role, with his mission. Okay, what's this guy doing here? Park right in the middle of the road, bud. So yeah, he's on a divine mission now, right? Trump, yeah. Another guy who was anything but religious up until the point of having to, you know, cozy up to the religious right, I guess. But prophetically, as a Christian myself, right, a Christian who also respects you know, unlike Tim Pool apparently, who put out you know, there's speculation this might have been just him being a, you know, as he often does, just puts out shit posts and tries to provoke a reaction out of people to get attention, like any little kid would do, right? You starve for attention in life. He put out this tweet saying that not believing in God should be illegal. He also put one out saying that believing in God should be illegal, so it's hard to tell. But that popular sentiment, I think we're hearing more and more from the right, this kind of a militant version of the Christian right. And this Nick Fuentes guy is just a perfect shining example of this. And yeah, and some of these little interviews that have popped up on my feed, once again, that's the only way I'd ever watch anything from Nick Fuentes. A little screaming, effeminate, stunted adult. Yeah, he's saying, I'm just gonna park it here. Might as well. It's got a busy place today. Yeah, he was, first of all, there's a clip of him, somebody questioning Pope Francis, and I thought it was pretty revealing, even from a so-called conservative, you know, as leftist, as liberal as Pope Francis comes across. Nick Fuentes, man, this guy was just militant in his defense of the Pope. And if you know what it truly means to be a devout practicing Catholic, that is actually the appropriate response, right? Because the Pope is the head of the church. Without the Pope, you don't have a Catholic church, right? So for all these people on the right trying to say, oh, the Pope's not a real Pope and all this stuff. Well, if you don't have a real Pope, you don't have a Catholic church. That's just, if you study out papal doctrine, the Pope is literally the intermediary of Christ himself on earth. And he is the head of the church. And you can't think apart from, you know, when the Pope sits ex cathedra, and when he utters something that he claims, anyways, directly from God, you cannot question it if you are a true Catholic. Otherwise, you're guilty of heresy and in threat of being excommunicated. I mean, that's what the Pope is, the Catholic Church has consistently demonstrated time and time in the past, because the Pope himself has claimed infallibility, and you have to be, right? If you claim to be God on earth, you have to be infallible, right? So what the Pope says goes. In any case, so yeah, you saw this clip of Nick Fuentes like berate this guy for daring to question the Pope, calling him, I'm not going to use the word because I'll probably just get banned on this platform, but you know, back in the witch burning days, they used to bundle sticks together, and they called them actually faggots. So that's apparently Nick Fuentes' favorite word of insult when he's threatened with a true intellectual argument. He's a child.
The optimistic pessimist sent $5. Pope Francis supports LGBTQ and Joe Biden is Catholic also. You shall know them by their fruits.
Well, you're going to hell forever for saying that, so I hope you're ready. I hope you like it hot, because you're about to burn in hell forever. And I hope I never run into you, because if I do, I will kill you in defense of the Pope. No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to kill you, but you're a piece of shit. Joe Biden's more based than you, and I hope that he throws you in jail. You're probably, dude. You probably trash talk Joe Biden and Papa, and then you go kiss your boyfriend in bed. I bet that's what you do, because you're... If you're not Catholic, I got news for you. You should go sign up for a bride parade. At least the Catholics are praying for them and saying, hey, you know, stop doing that. Pope Francis, when Pope Francis hangs out with... He's trying to get them to live a better life. When you're hanging out with... That's called a family reunion, okay? That's called the get-together with your closest friends. Pope Francis supports LGBTQ. Well, that's a lie, and you're going to hell for it. But even if that were true, I guess that'd be good news for you and all your relatives. That'd be a huge endorsement for you and your husband and your kids.
But yeah, he's a popular guy, I guess, on the right to some anyway. And I think, again, he's just this little provocateur. He just makes a really bad example of some good things that we should be standing for. Like a non-interventionist foreign policy. Yeah, he's big on the Jews and all that. And that's a real hot topic lately, isn't it? Like Hitler said, nothing he did to the Jews the Catholic Church hadn't done for hundreds of years prior, right? But so yeah, but Nick Fuentes, he builds this false argument, this false dialectic, as they so often do, and Candace Owens is guilty of this lately as well with her black and white logic, and of course is quick to point out hypocrisy as I am. You know, I put out there, you know, Candace, you might want to clean up your own house, your own religious organization before you go and, you know, strain in a gnat, as the Bible calls it, and look for a child buried under every synagogue. Because as far as I can gather, the Vatican is pretty much the world's largest child trafficking network. And, you know, in countries just like in France alone, there are some 333,000 children known to have been abused by that organization. That evil, evil institution, the Roman Catholic Church. Yeah, either you're a Jew or you're a Catholic. There is no in between, right, guys? And the only people that hate that statement, you know, apparently they're Jews because, yeah, they're so offended. And then he goes on about how he wants this country to be Catholic and Hollywood to be Catholic, every aspect of life to be Catholic.
So you're either a Catholic or you're a Jew. You're either a Catholic or you're with the Jews. That's how it is. That's the way the world is. So, anyway, that's that. And when are Catholics going to start asserting their control? I want Catholics to run this country, not Jews. I want this country to be run by Catholics, not Jews. And I don't think that's controversial. I want this country to have Catholic media, Catholic Hollywood, Catholic government. I want this to be a Catholic-occupied government. That's not controversial for us. It may be controversial for you. It's not controversial for us. We are Christians. You're not.
And I'm like, when in the history of the United States has that ever been the case? And why is this guy complaining when Catholics, being such a small minority as they are, represent the largest majority on the Supreme Court? He doesn't even have a Protestant sitting on the Supreme Court. I think there might be one now, if I might be wrong. Is there finally a Protestant? There was for quite a while not one Protestant on the Supreme Court in this once Protestant nation. And Catholics are all over the place when it comes to offices within government, disproportionately, like I said, even though they represent only, I think it's like 20-some% of the population, even though that number is going up more and more so with the open borders to South America, right? The highest concentration of Catholics in the world, by the way. But yeah, according to this Nick Fuentes guy, the ideal America would basically be a return to the Dark Ages with papal supremacy ruling the land, right? Well, I'm sorry, Nick, but we already had that little experiment over the Dark Ages, and there's a reason why so many Protestant Americans fled papal persecution, religious persecution in general, from old Europe to come to this country. And by far, the vast majority of early American colonists were Protestants. There was hardly any Catholics. If you look at the numbers, what are they called? When you do a census, the census data. Back in early America, there was hardly any Catholics in this country. And it was a real long time until America had warmed up to the idea, Americans had cozied up to the idea of actually putting a Catholic into political office. In fact, every time that there's an election, a presidential election, both the candidates get together and celebrate the Al Smith dinner because he was the first Catholic, elected, I think it was it mayor or governor in New York, I think it was, Al Smith, and he ran for the president and was quickly shot down from majority of Protestant Americans. So I think it's kind of ironic that both candidates get together, sit on either side of, like, the last time Bishop Dolan, and they yak it up, and yeah, they're all buddies, aren't they? Because in reality, the people that rule the world, they don't believe in your two-party illusion. They just use it as a tool, as a means to achieve their agendas. But unfortunately, you know, the normies out there, which are vast majority from what I can gather online anyway, at least, you know, however biased and algorithmically controlled our little algorithmic bubbles social media is. Yeah, we're the minority, people that are paying attention, that realize that it doesn't matter whether you got a little R or whether you got a little D next to your name. These people that crave power and influence don't care about titles, guys. They just want power and influence. But yeah, so, you know, I'm going to keep calling out these frauds, these fake conservatives, these fake patriots as often as I can. And hopefully you guys appreciate me for doing it. I don't know. I mean, I'm just doing it on my own time, doing it for free. I don't make a dime on this show. You know, I do throw it out there now and then. You can donate I think it's $5 for a coffee. Buymeacoffee.com, I think it is. I'll put a link up there and you can click on, or it's in my description. Otherwise, God bless everybody this night. Watch Nate. Until next time, I gotta get out of here. It's hot, and the little doggy over here, you know, there's only so much he can take. He's a snow dog. You know, I heard of a snowbird. He's a snow dog. He's used to living out in a kennel. That's when we first got him, out in the snow over the winter, and so he can't handle this heat too well. Old Bozzy McGee. Yeah, I gotta get going. God bless everybody. This is Not Watch Nate. Stay frosty. Don't be deceived. We are living in a time of great deceit. And like I started out the show, I'm still waiting in anticipation for the second coming of Christ. And I'm not looking to political solutions to solve our spiritual problems. And I know prophetically where that's headed. When the mark of false worship, the lamb-like beast of America, leads out in implementing the mark of false worship worldwide. And the beast being worshipped is the first beast that was wounded by the sword of the word during the Protestant Reformation, that being papal Rome. And so that's why we don't need more Catholics in politics, guys. All right? We need more Protestants who understand their Bibles and appreciate the principles that led to this great American experiment. Those Protestant principles that helped shape our constitutional republic. God bless everybody. This is Night Watch Nate. Till next time, signing out.